never boring. Where you can feast with the nectar of the gods. You'll always have a seat at Norse Hall.
Welcome everybody to Top Dog Coverage. It's your boy Dirty with your boy C-Dub, and we are on everything if you could imagine. Top Dog Coverage, spelled T-O-P-D-A-W-G coverage on YouTube, X, really it's Twitter, but TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Stay connected with us. Make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you leave comments, hit the 5 stars, swipe up. Make sure that you send smoke signals to everywhere we're going. EQ pages, everything you could possibly imagine. C-Dub, anything else? What are we doing here?
Send the Ravens. Send all the Ravens.
Send all the Ravens. Want to make sure everything is sent out. So
Let us know.
Yeah, man. Whew. Closer and closer, week by week. Here, C-Dub, how you feeling, buddy?
Feeling great, man. Like, I feel like the month of June is already just flown by. You know, it's coming up towards the end of it. It's just, I feel like we blinked and boom, here we are.
I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. It's camp is coming sooner than you think. You know, it's going to be July, a few days, and before you know it, they get that little break in between and everything. But we went through the NFC, all of the NFC depth chart, which is great, right? Yeah. But this is a perfect time to take a little bit of break before we jump into the AFC and talk about what wins you some money during these,
what can win you some money?
What can win you some money? And that is some fantasy football. I mean, we I like to say we have our minds in the right places and know how to make some decent picks at times. So we don't have a draft kit or anything like that, but we definitely have a pretty good head on our shoulders. Maybe 2-on-2 sets. So
get some good experience with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything changes, right? Everything changes
every year.
Get new draft picks, new rookies, new, everything. New defensive coordinators, new offensive coordinators, and this changes the game. Strength of schedule changes the game. Injuries changes the game. Quarterback coaches for different quarterbacks changes the game. It's just everything can happen in one off season.
So I've got a question too.
Nope.
When you're looking at strength of schedule, it's looking at the year previously, right?
No. So it's what's being projected as who's
what upgraded. Their projected wins. Okay.
Yeah, what's projected as upgraded through the draft and everything.
Okay, I was always just curious about that because we talked about strength of schedule quite often, but I feel like during the season you kind of get a better idea of which each team is.
Yeah.
Going in from the off season into the season, I'm like, where do they kind of pull? Where's that pull that data from? I figured it was something like that, but it's always good to just ask clarifying questions.
And me, like my mindset is usually set on.
It's your obsession. I wouldn't even say mindset. That is the only thing you ever talk about during the fantasy season.
Injuries,
strength of schedule.
Strength of schedule, baby.
I've never heard you talk about anything else.
Because check this out. Because the numbers are the numbers, right? The numbers are the numbers regardless, right? Hey, look, good offensive coordinator or, good, offensive coordinator that likes to pass. Kellen Moore always got his guys out there, right? And everything. So it's kind of like, okay, he's going to get his guys open. There's very good schematic. So it was always good at picking the wide receivers when he was in the Chargers, right? So it's kind of like, okay, we'll pick this guy that's in the slot or, left or right or what have you. But when I'll give everybody a little tip before we dive into a little something here, but I would always say, make sure that you understand the strength of schedule for every single position. Okay? and understand who gets hurt and who doesn't. You know what I mean? So that's all I would say.
Yeah.
Where's Baker at?
He's over here. He's trying to give me his toy, man. I'm trying to talk about fancy, dude.
My man Baker.
We gotta bring some money for some more toys, dude. Come on.
Yeah, shout out to Baker, top dog of the week right there.
Yeah. He said, you're doing your thing, but here's my toy. Play with me.
And you want to know something? In case nobody knows, the logo is based off of Baker. So in case you're wondering what Baker looks like, it is the logo without the red eyes.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the day, but yeah.
But before we get into everything, what do you say we jump into some news, man?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so we will jump into a little bit of get the news, baby.
Love it.
So, according to the Steelers' Aaron Rodgers, retirement has floated as an option for much of the 2025 season with Aaron Rodgers, and the future Hall of Famer will suit up for the Steelers this year. But it would come as a surprise if he did so in Pittsburgh or anywhere else after that. So it's been a long run, he said, and I've enjoyed it. Rodgers added, "What better place to finish than in one of the corner franchises of the NFL?" So he's planning on retiring after this year, and he's going to give it one last run. I think it's interesting to see what he can do there. He said he's going to empty the tank, and I am interested.
His last dance, right?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he's got left here. I really am. And, kudos to him. He is a unique figure. I will say that. And look, he can still sling it. He might not have what he used to have, but he still has a very, very high IQ and knows how to read defenses, knows how to get people off key, offset. And the one person that always, I would say, challenged him was always Mike Tomlin. So I would say,
and Rodgers is the one to beat Tomlin in the Super Bowl way back when. So
that would be very ironic, wouldn't it? And poetic for him to bring the Steelers to a Super Bowl when they just don't have their quarterback for the future as of yet. Now they drafted Sam Howard, but
Will Howard.
Will Howard. Who's Sam Howard?
I don't think I think it's a made up person here.
There's got to be a Sam Howard somewhere.
I mean, probably, but I don't know. Not in the NFL.
You know me, Cam Akers, Cam Ward.
Yeah. Name's irrelevant.
Yeah. So what do you got on your end?
So I'll start off with there's the big injury with Anthony Richardson. He had that shoulder injury. So lo and behold, Daniel Jones, the guy no one can quit. He holds a significant lead on the QB1 job for the Indianapolis Colts. So I think that upgrades all their pass catchers and maybe even a little bit more in the run game too with Jonathan Taylor. Because, I mean, at least he's, I guess, somewhat competent, I guess you could say. He never really showed flashes other than a little bit of athleticism in New York. But there was some serviceable times with him at quarterback where at least he's going to pepper the number one target or whoever is his favorite. He's going to pepper him with targets, so.
Yeah, that's a true story.
In
some other news, Russell Wilson, the free agent, didn't feature a long list of suitors this year, but the QB still had a handful of options. And he said that I came here to the Giants because of him, Wilson said. Everybody wants to know, who is him? I really wanted to play with someone who is special like him. It's easy to understand Wilson's affection for the young receiver, Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, he is him.
He is him. And not for nothing, Russell Wilson had a really good connection with a couple really, really good slot receivers back in the day. And, they kind of stretched the field as well, right? Speed, agility, athleticism. And,
Golden. He's more of a deep down the field passer.
And dude, he was Golden Tate, Tyler Lockett. This is exactly this kind of guy that he can utilize. This guy, he kind of goes right back into him. He is going to be a star, and I think.
I think Malik's a little bit different type of receiver than those two guys, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, he
they
was a
just make
slot version
dynamic
in
plays.
LSU, but yeah, like I think he still has that deep ball ability. His
Mhm.
arm might not be what it was, but man, yeah, I think pairing him with that downfield passing game, I think he's going to focus on getting Malik the ball. And I think that also opens up a little bit underneath with Wan'Dale Robinson. You're not going to get much after the catch with him, but I think it's a competent, a higher floor quarterback with Russell Wilson coming in
Yeah,
than what he had
I
last
agree.
year.
It's gonna be very interesting to see, and I'm interested to see Russell Wilson, and if he stays healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, you not for nothing. Check this out. I think this is a wild take. I think if Russell Wilson gets hurt at any point during the season, Malik's numbers skyrocket
Because of Jameis.
because of Jameis Winston.
How much do you believe that he will still be on the roster after training
Jameis
camp?
Winston?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be there. It's a 2-year deal.
Well, yeah, but what if somebody's starter gets hurt and somebody makes a trade for Jameis? Like a few years ago, the Saints traded for Teddy Bridgewater from the Jets.
Yeah, but okay, so
because I mean they drafted Jackson Dart, so if he shows some flashes in preseason, hey, maybe like that makes Jameis expendable, so we can trade him, get a mid-round pick or something.
You could.
Like,
I think he's going to be there, and I think that because so in my opinion, I believe that there have been so many quarterbacks that have not done well their first year coming out.
oh
and
yeah,
I think teams are starting to scale back now. Like, yo, we got to wait and pump the brakes and sit people for a year again.
Just the NFL is so fast paced. Like, there's no time for development, so they're throwing these guys out there. Either you can do it or you can't.
I know, and I think that's the problem. I think
Yeah.
that
100%. I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you can get, say, somebody wants to throw you a 4th rounder for Jameis because their starter went down, are you going to say no?
I mean, are you ready to put in the rookie? That's the thing.
Well, you're trusting that Russell Wilson can stay healthy. You're hoping that your rookie doesn't hit the field, but if I'm in a rebuilding stage like the Giants and I can get something for Jameis Winston that I signed off the street, yeah, I think that could give me another piece because he's not in your long-term future. He's not in your long-term plans.
I would up the ante too, and even make it a 3rd.
Right. Exactly. You could. I mean, hey, your starter went down, so you're desperate. You need this guy, yeah.
Because he does chuck the ball, man.
Yeah, I mean, he throws it. He's gotten better throughout his career. I mean, obviously he had a lot of pick sixes, but I think he's kind of calmed down and grown as a quarterback since he's been in the league.
I can't wait to hear any of those conversations in the Giants camp.
Yeah, it's wild times. Wild.
You want to finish us off in the news there?
Yeah. So I actually got reminded of this by yourself from a class that we did, but I predicted the Ravens signing Jaire Alexander on our last show, or maybe it was 2 shows ago. It was one of those. But Jaire Alexander, the longtime Packers corner, has reunited with Lamar Jackson. They played together at Louisville. He signs a 1-year deal with the Ravens. So it's a very incentive-laden deal. Obviously, Alexander has not been healthy over the last few seasons. So big veteran boost for that Baltimore secondary.
Yeah. All right. So not too much news. This is where kind of everything settles down a little bit. And this is the perfect opportunity, like I said, to jump into some fantasy talk and see what people are thinking. There's mock drafts. There's dynasty stuff going on right now, and
rule of thumb: whenever you do your like redraft leagues, when do you prefer your draft days?
Damn near almost the
like the day before the season starts?
Day before a Thursday night game. Like, I want to wait for all the injuries to get out.
You and those injuries.
Just think, hey, best ability is availability.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So it's
sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit.
I mean, our draft next year is before the draft for Dynasty.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very interesting.
A lot of
Because
people
we
are gonna be
don't
upset.
know. Yeah, we don't know what teams are going to be on or anything. So it's
Right.
like we really gotta. And we've seen people go down in the draft, man. We've seen people like tear ACLs, and so we up the ante in our dynasty league. So
Yeah, you gotta keep it interesting. You gotta keep it fun.
yeah,
You know.
and what the one rule we did implement, we did a little research, and CW came up with this, and I thought it was pretty brilliant. Is we implemented a rule that if you are going to trade away future assets in the first round of any year, you have to pay that year's league fee. And I believe that that is a very, very good rule to have. It keeps people serious about the league in case anybody tries to get rid of picks and they try to ditch their team because they know they're not going well. At least that gives, if somebody's going to utilize all those ones and send those ones out, at least the league is paid for and the person coming in can do it for free and kind of make it the way he wants to do it if he has no picks. Or you trade away your second, third, fourth, fifth, or second and third, depending on how your league is, and you still have your first round pick. So maybe you can trade your first round for, 2 seconds or a second and a third, depending on how, and you could rebuild that way. So I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah, the biggest key is just keeping the integrity of the league. You know, we trust a lot of our guys that are in there, but when you get on a losing streak and you don't have any, and you have traded all away your picks, what incentive do you have to stick around and set your lineup or whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So with that, fantasy, baby. All right, let's get into some fantasy talk. First of all, let's jump into one or two things before we, for anybody that's a beginner and you want to jump into some fantasy stuff. I would say number one, don't be afraid to do it. Okay, that is the absolute easiest thing. And if you guys ever want, we have a blog, so you can go to topdogcoverage.com. And we have a blog out there, and we do have fantasy tips for people that are starting fantasy football for the first time. So don't feel a little nervous or anything like that. Just jump into it knowing that you have an article there by me and C-Dub that highlights a couple things that allows you to be free with what you want to do. Pick the players you want to pick and just have some fun. Don't think too much of it. It's supposed to be a fun game. So anybody jumping on board this year, I applaud you. You are going to get sucked in like everybody does. So it is a wild.
It's very addicting. And also one thing to say, if you're jumping in your first year doing it, don't bet your house or anything. Mm-hmm. It's a very wacky, misleading, and a bunch of different stuff can happen. It's a very volatile game. So yeah, just stay within your means.
Mm-hmm. And with that, anybody that's in dynasty leagues right now, make sure that you guys are, again, solidified with your picks here, because make sure you read all the injury reports, who's there, who's not, and everything like that. Make sure you're trading correctly. Make some good trades. Don't throw some BS trades out there. I always encourage that, but everybody's different. And we saw. What was that one that I sent you? I saw one the other day. Was it Garrett Wilson and a first?
For
who was that?
For somebody.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah. I don't remember that one. Let's see.
I know I sent it to you.
Yeah.
But regardless, it was a solid trade though. I mean, it was.
Was it for Drake London? Maybe.
Maybe my phone's charging at the moment, so I can't really.
Yeah, I didn't see it in our photos or anything, but
okay. But yeah, it was an interesting one. Saw it up there, and I was like, huh. It was on Reddit, so. But before we jump into this, here's two questions for you, for the audience listening in. So anybody wants to go to our post, we have live polls going on at all times. So
Where
one.
are these polls at?
The polls is at youtube.com at Top Dog Coverage.
Boom.
Okay, so go into the post area and you can go in and vote, and we would love to hear your vote. We would love to hear your opinions on some of this. So go, email us at topdogcoverage@gmail.com. That's TOPDAWG coverage.com. So Gmail at topdogcoverage.com. Okay, so but what's your opinion here, man? Would you, so for fantasy football, would you rather have Christian McCaffrey or Bijan Robinson?
For me,
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan's a younger prospect, or I guess running back in this situation. He's in a Sean McVay type offense. I mean, it seems he's in a Shanahan offense, so they're similar type of offenses. But I think Bijan has great upside. He's got great speed. He was like the perfect running back prospect coming out. So obviously hook him for Texas. But yeah, so I think he's got the higher upside. There's a lot of playmakers in Atlanta, but I think he's the main guy that makes the engine run.
You know what I'm worried about?
Injuries.
So we're
injuries.
going right to Bijan, baby. I'd rather take somebody who didn't just have 400 carries and that was out all last year. So
yeah, hey, but he went to Germany, so he should be good this year.
9. And all right, so we kind of both lean to Bijan Robinson. He's still very young, very in his prime, but I would not rule out Christian McCaffrey if he falls to a certain area in the draft.
He could be a great value this year, depending on where he goes.
Look, if you're sitting there, and everybody goes after wide receivers first, right? And Bijan is maybe picked within, even not for nothing, even 3 or 4, and you're sitting there 5, 6, 7, and Christian McCaffrey's kind of sitting there. It's really not bad value, or even he could really be pushed to the end. He could
be pushed to the second, yeah.
He could. There's a possibility of this. So, here's one for you. So again, go to YouTube at Top Dog Coverage, and we would love to hear your votes, man. We would love to see what you guys are putting in here. So far, over 104 votes. Who will have the most fantasy points this season? Alvin Kamara, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Saquon Barkley. What are you thinking?
Who did I vote for?
Yeah.
Who do you think I voted for?
Jamar Chase.
Actually, no.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly. No, I voted for Justin Jefferson.
Okay. Not hating it. Well, right now our polls say that 68% is Justin Jefferson, 24% at the moment is Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley at 7%, and Alvin Kamara with 1%, and also a comment of somebody asking why is Alvin Kamara even mentioned in this, and I'll tell you why. Okay. I will tell you why Alvin Kamara is mentioned in this, because that guy was a workhorse last year. He put up massive fantasy points last year, and it's not always the sexy names that you want to hear all the time.
Whoa! Alvin's name is sexy, okay?
Alvin and Chipmunks.
Kamara is a sexy name,
sort of. So, but what I will say is that he's a pass catcher. He will take the full load
in PPR leagues. You rank.
Yeah. He gets the receptions. He gets the yards. And if he breaks out, he's going to get the touchdown. We've seen this. We had him on our fantasy team last year, okay? And he put up numbers week after week after week. And why? Because they didn't have a solid number 2 running back. Even though that used to be a split back, everything went to him.
Yeah.
And getting another offensive coordinator from Philadelphia, Kellen Moore, that just did a whole run scheme over in Philly, you think he's not going to know how to utilize this guy? It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, and obviously Kellen Moore's the head coach there, so he brought Nussmeier over to be the OC there. But yeah, I mean, he's very adaptable in system. It's hard to say he fits in a specific scheme because wherever Kellen Moore's been, his offense is kind of developed and been molded by whoever's on his team. Right? When he was with Dallas, it was more of a passing game through Dak, CD, all those guys. Same with the LA Chargers. When he had Herbert, passing game went through him. When he got to Philly, you thought it was going to be more of a passing offense, but no, he shifted, had a completely dynamic run game over there. Saquon went off. You obviously have Jalen Hurts, who's great in the run game as well. So be interesting to see how he kind of molds and manipulates his offense to be in New Orleans. But I think Alvin can have a great year. You know, I think he is the lead back. He is the best playmaker on the team, regardless of, you know, he's turning 30. Doesn't matter. He hasn't shown they slow down.
No. Actually, if anything, they just extended him. He's ready to rock and roll.
Right.
So, with that being said, it's time for some top 5 dead or alive, baby. Let's do it.
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to be going through our top 5 QBs, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, and defenses for you people, lovely people on the other end. So we're going to start it off with some QBs and see where this goes. Let's do. I have an idea. Why don't we do top 5 QBs with an honorable mention and or a sleeper? Now you can have maybe 2 honorable mentions if you feel. Or 2 sleepers or something like that.
How do we define sleeper, though?
Somebody that you obviously think can sneak by or in a later round get drafted and can still provide maybe as like a number 1.
Okay.
Or number 2. I'll say a number 2, but I'm talking about the later the round, the more value they're going to give.
Yeah. Okay.
How
about you and alternate? I'll start with my 5th one. We can talk about them, and then you go to your 5th. We'll just go back and forth.
Yep.
All right. So my number 5 quarterback in fantasy this year, and I did this all based off of PPR league. So I used our league settings for this.
That's fine. Okay.
I got Joe Burrow.
Okay. All right.
Joey B, baby.
Joey B. And you know what, man? You and I are aligning right off the bat. So my number 5 overall is Joe Burrow.
No way.
And I'll tell you why.
We didn't discuss this before
No, we didn't. I told him to write his and writing mine. Look, Joe Burrow, they're going to pass the ball. That's what they do. So he's going to give you those points. I believe he was ranked 5th.
He finishes the number 3 quarterback in fantasy last year.
Number 3? Okay. Mm-hmm. And now look, this is where this comes in handy, right? You're going by the PPR. I'm going also by I didn't really look up PPR, but I am looking up the strength of schedule, and they have one of the toughest for QBs, second to last. Okay. But when that happens and they usually play catch up, they have these tools to do it. They have these tools to move up. So Joe Burrow, number 5.
Yeah, he had 4,900 passing yards last year, 43 touchdowns. Even now, he got it done he got 200 yards on the ground, a couple of touchdowns there. So,
don't deny the skill. Don't deny the skill. The kid is ill. All right, that's what it is.
Elite. All right, you ready for number 4?
Let's do number 4, baby.
All right. So for my number 4 quarterback, I had Jayden Daniels.
Okay. And this is why we have a business together, because mine is also Jayden Daniels at number 4.
Oh, wow. Yep. I think number 3 is where we're going to be, where we differ off.
It might be. So yeah, Jayden Daniels, and I'm looking at this strictly from the rush aspect. He's going to give you those rushing touchdowns, those rushing yards. He's got 1 year under his belt now. And I'll keep going back to the SOS, the strength of schedule. I'm telling you guys, if you guys have a chance to get the SOS, do it. You know what I mean? Understand what this is, and you can go through every single one, and actually go to fantasypros.com to do it. So they don't pay me to say that, but that's what I use, and that's how we make our teams as strong as they are at times. So
yeah, I mean, he had 891 rush yards his rookie season with 6 touchdowns.
There you go.
That type of production, that's what, almost 90 points just on the ground, not including those touchdowns. So
yeah, and not for nothing,
it gives him a safe floor.
It does, and he's the seventh. They have the seventh hardest. You know what I mean? They're also towards the bottom, right? But that rushing aspect gives him that edge into that number 4 spot as that quarterback because he does rush. Joe Burrow doesn't really rush, but he can he can fuck it and chuck it. You know, he knows what to do. So Jaden Daniels coming in here, 1 year under, understands what's going on. I put him as a number 4. I think he's going to finish great.
That's crazy. All right. Number 3. Any guesses on who you think my number 3 is?
Yeah.
Shoot, who do you think?
Baker Mayfield?
No, I didn't put Baker. Baker didn't make my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, he did not make my top 5. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Okay. All right. Jalen Hurts.
Mr. Super Bowl MVP.
Yep. He can do it all, that guy.
He can definitely do it all. 14 rushing touchdowns last year.
That is pretty wild.
I think that was a quarterback record, right?
I think so. I believe so.
Yeah. So I mean, his passing wasn't there too much, but I think he's still growing and developing as a passer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his rushing upside's tremendous, and you got that tush push, which is a cheat code. So
yeah, you take it, you insert it. You know, that's
a set forget. I'm gonna worry about it.
It really is. Because I mean, and I actually think that he's under the radar.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. I know what I understand, which doesn't, because it doesn't make sense of why he's on the radar, but he kind of is.
Because he doesn't have the sexy name, because they're there to win games. You know what I mean? It's not the sexiest way to do things, but he's got all these weapons that he utilizes quickly. He doesn't wait for the play to, okay, we're going to chuck it. No, they're disciplined. They're a disciplined team, so it doesn't look sexy.
Yeah, he only had 5 interceptions last year.
It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Wow. Oh, man.
So who's your number 3?
You know what? I moved them back up into the rankings. And usually I don't go this way, but I was looking at a lot of stuff, and I'm sliding Patrick Mahomes back into the top 3.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. I think they upgraded on some playmakers, and word has it that Kelsey has lost 25 pounds. He's getting back into shape. I think he is understanding that he's coming towards the end of his few years.
He's shaping him up.
Probably.
So said, hey, look, I need better production. You were on my fantasy team last year.
Yeah.
He sucked. So
he did. He absolutely did. And not for nothing, he is within like the top 12 of the easiest schedules here. Okay. So for a guy that has made the Super Bowl time and time again right now, if you sneak up to like almost the top 10 there, I think it's like 11 or 12 for a QB. It's going to be a little bit easier for him. He's going to, look, you got Rashee Rice back. You got, Bernard Smith coming in there. And I think that, Isaiah Pacheco, you got all these guys.
A lot of weapons.
You have a lot of weapons. And you know what? I think it's going to be a wild up season for him personally.
I like it. Yeah, because again, that's another guy that's kind of underrated, especially in the fantasy realm. Where I feel like a lot of people are scared of because they're like, eh.
Yeah, it's just and look, the past 2 years haven't been the greatest for him. You know what I mean? You're talking closer to 20 touchdowns, and it was very simple football, but it got them to the chip. It got them to 2 Super Bowls, and that's fine. But at the same end, that's not. Remember when he came out and he threw 51 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean his downfield passing hasn't really been there these last couple seasons, and a lot of people discuss about the too high, the cover 2 and whatnot. But like, I don't know. I think Andy Reid's going to have some more wrinkles, and I think their production will start to increase because, I mean, that defense is pretty nasty. So there's not much that they have to do on offense. They just have to be decent. But I definitely think he's a bounce back candidate and could see him thriving next year.
Yeah. All right, number 2. What do you got there, buddy?
I got the newly married Josh Allen.
Okay. All right.
The elite dual threat. Guy can do it all.
I am actually going to go Lamar Jackson at number 2.
Okay. So I'm guessing I could guess who your number 1 is.
Yep. Tyler Shuck. And
Shuck it,
well
baby.
deserved. Well deserved, That is the sleeper number 1. No, but yeah, Lamar Jackson, number 2, obviously rushing upside,
The
does
number
it.
1 fantasy quarterback last year.
The number 1, yep, exactly. I'm going to take him just another step down just a little bit. Nothing crazy. He's still going to be there. He's still going to be winning games and such, but that's where I'm going to, put him.
Yeah, so yeah, Lamar Jackson's my number 1. I mean, he had 45
Mhm.
total touchdowns last year, almost 1,000 yards rushing. I think that gives you so much, like such a high floor, and
Mhm.
and he's got such a high ceiling that you can pop off in any game. And despite him being in the league for this, he only had 4 interceptions last year. He had the least amount of interceptions out of all these guys we've already talked about. So he doesn't really turn the ball over. He's an elite offense, and the league hasn't been able to figure him out.
Yeah.
So that's why he's my number 1. I think he's going to continue to dominate, crush it.
Yeah, I think looking again, what they have prepared for this year, the reasoning why I'm flipping them is Josh Allen is in the top 10 of one of the easiest quarterback schedules, and Lamar Jackson ran all the way down. So he is one is sitting here and one is sitting all the way down here. Now that is the difference between your rushing ability and what you can do and keep everything going. But I mean, still looking at
So
1, 2.
I also have a question on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if your quarterback has such an easy schedule, do you feel like he's not going to produce as much because he won't necessarily need to? Whereas if he
No,
has a really tough schedule, that he's going to continue to have to push the entire game, and it's going to be
so what I
shootouts.
believe is like if it's an easier schedule for the quarterback, it gives him more time to read downfield. It gives him more time options. People aren't getting to him, so it's they can make their reads, pass, find outlets quicker, or not necessarily quicker, but they can find outlets better. And they allow to keep moving the chains, or they can make those big plays. It allows so many different options for things to happen. So you can have a quarterback with this strength of schedule that is great, but then your run game is terrible. Because what if you're facing a bunch of teams that have really good run stuffers, but they have no edge rushers?
Yeah, I
So
don't know. I feel like with the quarterbacks, if the easier schedule, that they're probably more of just a terrible defense. So I feel like you're going to be able to run more on them. But I don't know.
you
I
could,
always felt like I want my quarterback to be in these kind of high level matchups to where they're going to have to like perform each week. They're going to have to throw some points on the board. That's
yeah.
just me.
Well, I mean, and at the same time, it's you either have to going to be coming back to throw those points up on the board. So it's
Mhm.
I mean, but if you're throwing all those points up on the board, you're obviously going against a lesser defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's shootouts all the time with great defenses. I mean,
Yeah,
each week. I mean, it's the NFL.
it
Who
is
knows,
any given Sunday.
right? So you want to
So
go through recap our top 5?
yeah, let's go through yep, go ahead.
So I've got Burrow at number 5, Jaden Daniels at number 4, Jalen Hurts at number 3, Josh Allen at number 2, and Lamar Jackson at number 1.
Okay, and I got Joe Burrow number 5, Jaden Daniels number 4, Patrick Mahomes coming in at 3 spot, Lamar Jackson at 2, and Josh Allen finishing at 1. Honorable mention.
I'll let you
Yeah,
go first on this one.
all right. I actually have kind of 2 sneaking in there.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud.
For honorable mentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just missed your top 5.
Kind of, they're in that range. I didn't know how to put them. I'm looking at what they have coming this year,
Okay.
and the new weapons and everything. Because they really upgraded both sides, upgraded significant on offense, and I think they can make a real good change this year.
Yeah.
Not even a change, just like another step up. That's all.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think 2 great choices. I think CJ Stroud, I don't think what we saw last year is who he is. I think
Mm-hmm.
more of what he did his rookie year is more of the actual CJ Stroud. So, and
Yeah.
I love Baker. I think he's going to crush it again this year.
41 touchdowns, baby.
So for my sleeper, And I guess honorable mention, I had Justin Fields on there. I don't know if you can
Mhm.
constitute him as a sleeper, but I think he's going to really elevate that Jets offense, and I think he has a chance to be a QB1. Because even in his time in Chicago, I mean, he had that high floor with the rushing upside.
Yeah.
So I like Fields a lot this year. I think he's going to perform, and I think really solidify and keep that job. And then also I had Dak on there. I had honorable mention Dak. I think he's coming back healthier. He looks great. He looks like he's leaned up a little bit, so he'll be in better shape going into the season. And he's got all those weapons now, so I think Dallas it's going to be rely heavily on his arm. So I think he's going to have that passing volume.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Dak would be my second choice for that.
That's not bad. Dak is always a force to be reckoned with, to be honest. And I have one sleeper,
Okay.
Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has a very easy schedule this year, and I believe he's going to do wonders with his legs yet again if he can,
Better offense.
every. Huh?
I think he'll have a better offense this year too.
Yes,
They'll be
I
more improved.
100%. So I would say if you're in the later rounds and Kyler's kind of sitting there and you need a.
See, I feel like Kyler's name is too big. That's one thing. That's one reason why I left him off, and I even had Dak with a question mark because it's like they're big names. I know they've dealt with some injuries and stuff for the last couple of years, but I don't know.
For me, that's where it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, he's decent. I think that's what people are looking at him now because he did have a great first year, and you know what I mean, and you could tell that he was a problem, and then it started to simmer down a little bit, and that happens, But I would say sleeper because I think people are looking at these big names nowadays, and we'll see what happens, But
I like Kyler a lot too. I think he'll do great this year.
I think he has a chance to blossom this year. So
yeah.
You want to move into running backs?
Yeah, the best position.
Okay, cool. You want me to start this one?
Go ahead.
Okay. At number 5, I'm starting off with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
I think he's going to be a top 5 guy.
He was not my number 5.
Even with a shared a split load with David Montgomery, he just seems to always know where to go with the football when he gets it, pass catching. And when David Montgomery was out, he proved that he could be an every down running back. So
he had 305 touches last year, almost 2,000 yards, and 20 total touchdowns.
Look, he's an animal.
Yeah,
he's an animal.
He was not my number 5. He's up a little bit higher for me.
That's fine.
My number 5 was Christian McCaffrey. CMC.
Okay.
I think he'll bounce back. He had plenty of time off last year to recover. They didn't rush him back too soon to deal with the I don't remember what it was, Achilles tendonitis or something. Mm-hmm. So I think all the reports have been he's been healthy, he's been full go. So I think we'll get that bounce back monster season for CMC this year.
Okay. My number 4 is actually CMC. So Christian McCaffrey, right in there. If he can look, he did have a huge year of, over 400 carries, I believe. And then look, he got hurt last year. Okay. That happened. And you know what? It seems to be that he's coming back pretty good right now. So if you have a whole year off, I'm interested to see what he can do. He is a dynamic player when that ball is in his hand. He can pass catch. He can sit there and block. He could be your every down running back. Okay. No. You can't, again, if he's there in the mid first round or the end of the first round, this is a guy that you just can't, they're going to give him the ball. You take that risk whether or not he's going to make it through the full season, but he's going to stay in that 4 spot for me.
Okay. My number 4, King Henry, Mr. Derrick Henry out of the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
And he finished with 18 total touchdowns last year, 344 touches, over 2,100 yards. So I think he's just a monster workhorse. I think I love this name. This word gets thrown around a lot, but I do think he is a generational talent with what he's been able to do since he's been in the league. So I'm not ready to quit him yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Number 3, going Saquon Barkley, baby.
Wow, Saquon's my number 3.
Yep, Saquon Barkley.
There we
I mean, what's not to like about this guy? He's in a
The
perfect position.
378 touches he had last year.
It scares me.
That's not including playoffs.
No,
that's just regular season.
That's the only thing that scares me, because it doesn't matter. It does with the strength of schedule. It doesn't matter with him. Just some of these guys like Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. These are guys that almost get automatic 100-yard games. Okay,
well, they get the volume to be able to get there.
Absolutely. So
that's what you want. That's what you want in fantasy football. Who's going to get the most volume? Who's going to get the most targets, touches, that type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would say that my number 2 is your boy, Derrick Henry.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, you're talking. Look, he doesn't get a lot of passes. Okay, and I understand that, but the guy does get all of the work on the ground. Okay, that is a guy that you cannot stop. He is, what is he, 250, something like that?
It's kind of light, but yeah, he's like 6'3", 250, and he's fast.
Yeah,
he gets out in that open field. Once he gets that running start, he's gone.
Yeah, and it's, look, for a couple years now, I'm like, okay, he's on the decline. He is an anomaly, this guy.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
You cannot, and you know me, sometimes I'm like, yo, 28, 29.
Injury this, injury that.
Yeah, I sound like Goofy, I know. But you can't bet against this guy. So Derrick Henry, number 2 for me.
All right. I had Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think he's just such an explosive playmaker. I think he's a do-it-all back for Detroit, and they're going to be kind of in that transition with the offense this year. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm going to bet on his talent, because Gibbs is a special talent.
Fair enough. More than fair.
Is there any question on who's number 1?
We could just say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bijan Robinson, baby.
Easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Look, the kid is a stud. Okay, he can make anybody miss. Now, and everybody might be listening right now. Oh, you really think he's better than Saquon? Blah 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 blah. Look, we're also putting in perspective how many carries Saquon had last year, and the team that he's on that can take away touchdowns and stuff. Bijan Robinson is in a spot right now where they know that they want to use him. He is a young stud on this Atlanta team right now. Not that C-Dub wants to hear this right now, but
not at all. But
this is you bet with your wallet, not with your heart. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bijan. I mean, elite running back prospect. They finally used him as a workhorse last year. I mean, they got 365 touches, almost 1,900 yards, finished with 15 touchdowns. I mean,
yeah,
it's great work.
I got 2 honorable mentions if you'd like to hear it.
Go ahead, because I only have sleeper.
Okay. I have Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
And Alvin Kamara.
Okay. I guess you could say I have one honorable mention, but it's kind of tough for me. Jonathan Taylor. I feel like he's a back that nobody talks about, and he was one of the best prospects when he came out a few years ago. And I loved his tape. I loved his game, and he's still that. He just dealt with some ankle injuries last year. That offense, you're not really sure what's going on there, but I think Jonathan Taylor could have a huge year. But for my sleeper, I have Jalen Wright, second-year running back out of Miami, Miami. Excuse me.
It's a good sleeper. You can get him very late.
Yep, I think Devon Achane. He's got that smaller frame. He's missed quite a few games over the last couple of years, and Jalen Wright's got bigger body. He's 5'10", I think 210, 215, and he's got close to the same speed. So I think he's gonna really develop, and he can shine this year.
All right. I have a sleeper, a little biased, but I say it because he hasn't really produced the way everybody would want him to the past 2 years, and that's Breece Hall. He has, if not the easiest strength of schedule this year as for running back, and they're basing it around the run game here. So we will see if this is the easiest of easiest. So, I mean, this is the guy that you would want in that spot. And he's already said in interviews that I have to prove myself in every aspect, in pass catching and running the ball. and in blocking. And he knows exactly what AG wants. So I think he's going to give it everything he's got this year. And this
I think Fields getting there will also help improve the run game too, because they're going to be worried about Justin Fields because he's a special runner at the quarterback position. So I think it's going to open up more opportunities for him.
Fair enough. Want to move on to wide receivers?
Let's do it.
All right, you're gonna start from.
Yep, number 5. Number 5, I have Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Detroit Lions.
All right.
This dude had 141 targets last year with 115 catches and 12 touchdowns. I mean, that's some great efficiency. Him and Goff have a special connection. I think I know he had he did have knee surgery during the offseason and whatnot, but I think he's one of those safe, efficient players that you can just plug in, not have to worry about it.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I have at number 5. Amon-Ra St. Brown. So
there we go.
Look, he's one of those guys. He's reliable. You pass it to him, he's gonna catch the ball. He's gonna move the chains, and he just continues to be that blanket for Jared Goff and the Lions. You know what I mean? There's nothing really questionable about it. Maybe I don't want to say he's really declined, but the numbers have just gone up in the NFL with some of these elite receivers, and he's still part of that. But he's going to stay at that number 5 spot, deservedly so.
All right. Number 4, I have the second-year pro, Malik Nabers
from
the New York Giants.
All right.
Hey, he had 170 targets last year.
That's a lot.
That was just 5 behind Jamar Chase.
That's wild.
It's a lot of targets.
That is a lot of targets.
109 catches, 7 touchdowns. I mean, he's going to get the volume. He's going to get the targets. So,
yeah, there's he's a special player for sure, and I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see exactly how that offensive line holds up. That's the only thing I'm worried about. But he is a dynamic player, amazing player. So, and you're talking about a quarterback that wants to be there with him. Like, he's like, yo, this is like a new toy, so he's ready to rock and roll. So
yeah,
I like that. I actually, at number 4, I put Brian Thomas.
Okay. I thought about putting Brian Thomas Jr. there.
So Brian Thomas, look, he came in last year, started putting in work. Okay. So, he had 87 receptions with 133 targets and, 1,200, almost 1,300 yards, 1,282, and 10 touchdowns. And that's as a rookie. So I really think that has a chance to skyrocket here. And not for nothing, he is the Jacksonville Jaguars have the 3rd easiest wide receiver schedule this year. So I think that's going to bump him up. He's going to have, I think, maybe not more targets, maybe the same, but I think more receptions that can lead to those extra yards that can get him closer to the 15, maybe even the 2,000. He was a force to be reckoned with last year. I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, just you think Trevor Lawrence is going to take another step in his development, and they had a pretty good connection last year, so
yeah,
I like that. All right, for number 3, I have Justin Jefferson, receiver, Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm. Everybody knows. It's just
Justin. I mean, it's easy, JJ, but he had 154 targets, 103 catches, and 10 touchdowns last year. And that was with Sam Darnold and some instability at quarterback. So I think he'll grow and have a great year with McCarthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think JJ doesn't matter what quarterback he's had. He's made these quarterbacks look good. I mean, not just not that the quarterback wasn't good, but look, it's not that JJ doesn't have chemistry with him. He's been on a team with him. Now it's just game time. And I think that he's deservedly so to be in that spot. I, on the other hand, at number 3, put CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is here. He's back. And
where did he go?
He's back with Dak, baby. Okay. and
Okay.
that's what's going to give him some more of those fantasy points. He obviously, you can see some of the frustration uh, during some of the games when he's trying to get on the same page as a quarterback when Dak's not in. And when Dak is in, it's picture perfect sometimes, and those are the fantasy points that you want. So, looks like it's starting fresh, and if they can stay on that good run, then I believe that he is capable of being the number 3 overall this year.
All right. So then I'll go to my number 2, CeeDee Lamb.
There you go.
I mean, he had 152 targets last year, 101 catches. So I just think that he's going to continue to be that main force for Dallas. George Pickens, I believe, is going to help him. So I think him, Dak, and George Pickens, it's a great trio over there. So I think he's going to just continue to produce.
Absolutely. My number 2 is Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson, we just talked about him. I think it's going to be great. He's going to have a really good time over there in the Vikings. Against CeeDee Lamb. What's bad to say about him? So basically, whether it's 1 or 2 spots over or under, they're still in that spot where you guys want to draft them because these are elite players, and obviously the number 1 overall. We might not be on the exact same page, but chasing a dream.
Lad
right?
McConkey.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trey Harris.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, baby. Let's not overthink this.
Triple Crown winner.
He's, the kid had
175 targets last year. Almost 200 targets. 175. 127 catches, 17 tutties. Led the NFL in catches, yards, touchdowns.
1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. This is wild. Wild. And he just got paid, so let's do it, Honorable mention?
No, go ahead.
I had Malik Neighbors in the honorable mention here. And my sleeper is for this year, my sleeper is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe.
Ooh, okay.
I believe he's going to make a comeback here, and let me tell you a little something about Marvin Harrison Jr.
Tell me about
it. It seems as if they are within the quarterback and the wide receiver within the top 10 easiest of schedules. So that can make a huge difference with connection. So sometimes I'll say this out loud. Sometimes guys like we did it last year. We had Jaden Daniels with Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. You want to
add those matchups, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you want to get Joe Burrow,
points.
Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? This works out. So
yeah. So for my sleeper, I had Marvin Mims Jr., third-year receiver out of Oklahoma for the Denver Broncos. I just think he had some really great development towards the end of last season. Great return man. He's kind of more of a gadget player, but he's been developing as a receiver. So I think this is going to be the season that he kind of takes off. And with Bo Nix wanting to keep the ball kind of closer to the line of scrimmage and not too deep down the field and whatnot, I think that's going to open up a lot of bubble screens, a lot of short passes underneath where he can get the ball in his hands and just take off, get some yak after yards after catch.
Yeah. Okay. Tight ends?
Let's do it.
All right, tight ends, baby.
Should we be recapping our top fives? I don't think we did that on there.
Should we? Yeah, we can go. Yep. My number 5 is we went Amon-Ra St. Brown, both of us. 4 for me is Brian Thomas, which is actually, by the way, that's my first and middle name. And then 3 CeeDee Lamb, 2 Justin Jefferson, and 1 Jamar Chase. And yours were?
My top 5 was Amon-Ra St. Brown at 5, Malik Neighbors at 4, Justin Jefferson at 3, CeeDee Lamb at 2, and Jamar Chase at number 1.
There you go. So with tight ends, you want to start off with our tight ends?
Sure. So number 5, kind of a curveball. I went Tucker Kraft, tight end for the Packers.
All right.
He had 70 targets last year, 50 catches, 7 touchdowns. Kind of really broke out when Luke Musgrave ended up missing about 10 games, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He really seemed like he was a security blanket for Jordan Love. And there's so many receivers in that offense. I want somebody that's going to be pretty steady and at least be frequently targeted by Jordan Love. I mean, we like the Packers offense. It's a good scheme. Give me a guy that he looks for in the end zone.
Fair enough. More than fair. My number 5 is George Kittle. And George Kittle, 78 receptions with 94 targets and still managed to get over 1,000 yards, 1,106 yards. 8 tutties. So that whole offense is based on running and then based on getting and schematically getting people open. So, and he seems to be always be that guy to get open. So I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to put him too high. I don't want him to put too low. And I think 5 is a really good spot. Top 5 is always a good spot for a tight end.
Okay. I have Kittle a little bit higher, but yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Number 4, I have Sam Laporta, tight end for the Lions.
Okay.
So he had 83 targets last year, 60 catches, 7 touchdowns. Again, I'm just going to be betting on Jared Goff and that offense. They play a lot of their games in a dome. So he's a big body receiver that he can look for in the red zone. Give me that connection all day.
Okay, fair enough. My number 4 this year, I have a feeling it's going to happen. Evan Ingram. I think he's coming through.
Ooh, okay.
And
who's he with now?
He is with the Denver Broncos. And look, check down Charlie Bo Nix is this is not just a tight end. This guy is a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
He is very athletic when he gets the ball, and he can make plays. And he showed what he can do over in Jacksonville. And now you're going to relay that right over to Denver Broncos to give him just another weapon. So I think it's a perfect spot for him to go, and I think that I'm
surprised. I'm surprised by that because you're always scared by injuries.
I am. Different spot to be, and I really want to see what it says. Where is he? Yep. He is in the top 12 for easiest schedule.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Number 3, the aforementioned Mr. George Kittle.
There you go.
Main playmaker up there in San Francisco now that Mr. Deebo Samuel has been shipped out. Ayuk, I don't know how he's going to come back. CMC, again, same thing. So I think he's the most consistent, explosive playmaker they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just cool as shit.
Fair enough.
That's it.
That's it. He's just cool as fuck.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, George Kittle, he is. He got a personality on him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's a beast.
My number 3 is going back to Travis Kelce and shedding that weight, coming right back in. I think we all know that he was off last year. I think he knew that he was off last year, and what he's doing in training camp is trying to refine that, and he's trying to make a comeback, I believe. So I think that I think he's going to be in the top 3, and I think he's going to make a great comeback with this.
Cool. I like it. All right. My number 2 is a favorite of yours. It's the tight end out of Arizona, Mr. Trey McBride.
Fair enough.
147 targets last season, 111 catches, 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
So he's got to improve on the touchdowns. I think that'll happen. The team was very adamant about getting him those touchdowns, but I mean, it's just a big, explosive playmaker. He can block, he can catch. I think he's got a great connection with Kyler, so he's my number 2.
Yeah, and not for nothing. This is why I'm saying sleeper on the Arizona Cardinals. The number 1 easiest schedule for tight ends is Trey McBride this year. So you're talking about a quarterback within the top 10, wide receivers within the top 12, and your tight end within the top or the easiest schedule. So that can be an offense that is a problem this year.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is Mark Andrews from the Ravens. I believe that I think this is going to haunt him, that last drop that he had. and this is a contract year. So, what do people do on contract years?
Ball
They
out.
tend to they tend to ball out. So I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to be the old of Mark Andrews, and we're going to see what happens here.
All right. So for number one, my number one tight end is second-year player of the Las Vegas Raiders, Brock Bowers. 153 targets last year, 112 catches, 5 touchdowns. This guy is just an absolute stud. He was great coming out of the draft. It was a monster at Georgia. Has maybe said 3 words since he's been in the league. But everything around this guy has just gotten better. His coaching got better. His quarterback got better. The weapons around him got better. The offensive line got better. The defense got better. So he's just in an overall better situation. And I think he can actually exceed and do better than what he did last year. So Brock Bowers, tight end out of Las Vegas, is my number one.
Fair enough. More than fair. My number one overall is Trey McBride. And meaning that I did not have Bowers in my top 5.
Wow.
Which is a bold statement. I understand that, but he is the honorable mention. And let me tell you why. This is hot take here. Okay.
All right. Hot take.
If you look upon what Geno Smith has done, it is not doing it with tight ends. Now, that does not mean that they're not gonna line him up in spots to succeed and all this other stuff. But I am strictly looking at that and the strength of schedule as well. I guess I'm pushing on this, right? And it is very, very low. So that's why he's just outside of it. I think he's not going to have, a lot of these games last year were comeback games. The Raiders were not that good. And they didn't really have the quarterback that you would want. So that was his check down Charlie. And he got a lot of great receivers, and he is a great player, just like you said. I think he's going to take a step back, knowing that Geno Smith doesn't really utilize his tight ends, and those targets might not be as much.
You don't feel like that was anything to do with the schemes that Geno Smith was in?
I mean, if it
Seattle's never really utilized a tight end.
I mean, you got the same head coach coming over there, different offensive coordinator, so we'll have to see. But still outside the top 5 for me, but still. Hey, I would take a gamble on him still, though. So.
All right, yeah. I mean, he was the number 1 tight end last year.
Yeah.
Everything around him improved, so that's tough. That's bold.
It is bold. Hot take, baby. Hot take.
There we go. So he's your honorable mention?
He's my honorable mention, yes.
Okay. My honorable mention is Pat Freiermuth for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, smooth. So I think Aaron Rodgers getting there. I think he'll have a lot more opportunities. You have him. George Pickens is out of there.
Seems like 7'6".
I don't know about all that, but and you heard about what he did. I guess George Pickens skipped out on the youth camp that he was supposed to do. He said he was going to come back and do it, but then he ended up skipping out, and Pat Freiermuth stepped in and took care of those kids and led the camp. So I think Pat Freiermuth is going to have a great year with Mr. Rodgers.
Good job, Patty.
There we go.
Who doesn't like Patty? Sleeper.
Who you got?
Jonnu Smith, baby.
Okay. Is he a sleeper, though?
Yeah, I would say he's a sleeper because
he finished at like the number 3 tight end last year or something like that.
He did. And I think, me personally, I don't think it was because I don't think he would have done that anywhere else. Okay. I really don't. I don't think that he'll be utilized like that, and I think that's why he is asking for more money, because I think this is his only payday. So you can get him right now cheaper, because people are going to be looking at Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Kittle, Bowers. You can get him later on, so it's kind of like a sleeper move where you can wait to go get him just a little bit. Maybe I can't really tell you. It all depends on what league you're in and who drafts who, but I think that you can kind of like, maybe not a sleeper, but a little bit later on.
Okay. Yeah, for me, the sleeper I had is Britton Strange, tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's really strange, dude.
He came on last year pretty strong once your boy got hurt and went down, Mr. Evan Ingram. So athletic, he's big body, good receiving type tight end for Trevor Lawrence. So I think he'll be steady. He might not be over the top and win you a league, but he's gonna get you enough points where he can be a bye week fill-in and make sure you don't lose the week.
Fair enough. More than fair, my friend. We want to go into defense.
Let's do it.
All right. You want me to start?
Go ahead. Wait.
All right.
Let's recap our top 5 tight ends.
Good call.
Especially because our lists are all over the place.
Yeah.
You go ahead first.
So sleeper is Jonnu Smith. Honorable mention is Bowers. Number 5 is George Kittle. Number 4 is Evan Ingram. Number 3 is Travis Kelce. Number 2 is Mark Andrews. And number 1 is Trey McBride.
All right. So my sleeper was Britton Strange, tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. My honorable mention was Pat Freiermuth, the tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 5 was Tucker Kraft, tight end for the Green Bay Packers. Number 4 was Sam Laporta, tight end for the Detroit Lions. Number 3 was George Kittle, tight end for the San Francisco 49ers. Number 2 was Trey McBride, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals. And number 1 was Brock Bowers, tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right.
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
All right, let's get into some defense, some fun stuff.
All right. Number 5. Starting off at number 5 here. Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
I'm starting with Philly. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really seem to matter who they face. Look, when they had a chance to go against Jaden Daniels for the 3rd time, they made it difficult for him. They made it very, very difficult for him. So, halfway through, they were kind of still feeling it out. And then, from half of the season on to the end of the season, that defense just lit it up. And I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, they have a lot of young guys on that defense. And Vic Fangio coached them all year, and they started to really break out towards the end of the season and the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's my number 5 is the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. Number 5 for me was the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Young ascending defense, had the change in defensive coordinator. They actually finished with 31 takeaways last year, had 45 sacks, and only 33% of their drives, of the offensive drives against them, ended up in points.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's one of the tops in the league. So
okay, not bad at all. My number 4.
My source is Pro Football Reference. If anybody that wants to check it.
Good old Pro Football Reference. I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Give us number 4, Bo.
Number 4 is the San Francisco 49ers. They've made a couple.
That's all number 4. So
that's your 4 too.
Mm-hmm.
They made some moves to get the people, who know that defense going back to Robert Saleh coming back there. So they made some trades. They got some extra people in there that understand what to do.
Spent a lot of draft picks on that defense.
Yeah, and you know what? Look, it tends to be a very tough. I've noticed when you have people for that specific style or that specific scheme, when he brings people in that know how to do it. He took a bunch of people from San Francisco to New York, and as soon as he did that, that's when they
vice versa, right? Or
no,
the first time.
Yeah, the first time, and then it started to click instantly, and it's like, oh snap! Because at first he had just young kids, then he brought in the new people.
Well,
I'm sorry,
kids,
the veterans. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man.
And he's doing the same thing. He got Bryce Huff back. He got another corner and another safety that knows the program. So, they made a couple really good draft picks.
Yeah, and last year, they had 17 takeaways, 37 sacks, and they allowed 44.4% of opposition drives to end in points. But I think those numbers are just skyrocket because you had Bosa, who wasn't healthy all year.
Mm-hmm.
You had the offense that went through their struggles. So I think 49ers are really primed to really bounce back and be that dominant defensive force again. It sucks that they lost Dre Greenlaw and then Fuanga, the safety.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they did a lot of great work in the draft and free agency to kind of refill that cup. So I do think they'll be primed for a big bounce back.
Yeah.
So then who's your number 3?
The Buffalo Bills, number 3, is going to be the
Okay.
Buffalo Bills. They seem to get a lot of heavy set trench guys in there, rightfully so. And it looks like they do have one of the top 5 easiest schedules of the season. By the way, San Francisco has the easiest of the season. So Buffalo is not far behind them. And it's not like you don't have a coach that is a defensive kind of guy. So this could help them cruise a little bit, get the ball back, schematically make some things happen, and win some games, even though they're already winning games.
Yeah. Okay. I actually had the Baltimore Ravens as my number 3 defense. So they also had 17 takeaways. But they had 54 sacks, and 36.6% of the opposition drives ended in points last year. So at Baltimore, they reloaded on that defense. You bring in Jaire Alexander and a couple of the things they did in the draft. So I think that defense is just going to get better. And with how the offense and Lamar has more weapons this year, it's going to elevate that offense, which is going to take more pressure off the defense.
Keep them rested.
Yep.
I like it. Right. Number 2, the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe that their defense was very, very disciplined the first year that Jim got over there. And now I think they know that this is a hard-nosed team. And that hard-nosed team, I think, is only getting better. It keeps adding to it and keeps adding to it. And look, that's I think those Chargers are going to be a problem. That defense is going to be a problem. And you can get your offense humming, you're good to go.
All right. Yeah, for my number 2 defense, I had the Philadelphia Eagles. I know we already touched on them, but during the season they had 26 takeaways, 41 sacks, and tied for the league low in drives ending in points was 31.6% of drives.
Okay.
So I think the Eagles, again, another year in that Fangio system. The young guys are going to continue to develop, get better. I think Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, I think, are 2 great defensive tackles. That's just going to be able to get the interior pressure. And the defense, I just continue to see them improve and grow and be dominant again this year.
Yeah. I also want to add here is that the Los Angeles Chargers is also in the 3rd easiest schedule this year. So a lot of these guys a lot of these teams that I am choosing, it's not that they're just in there as the easiest schedule, but they're already really, really tough defenses to get by. So put in the equation that they're going to make it easier with an easier schedule. So that's why I'm putting these guys in where they are at. So the Chargers are, that's why I looked at it that way. But number 1 overall, I am going to go with the Denver Broncos.
Yep, that was my number 1 as well.
Denver Broncos just seemed to for weeks and weeks. I think it was only until later on in the season, but Denver shut down everybody. I mean,
they had 63 sacks last year.
So wild.
25 takeaways, and they were tied with the Eagles in 31.6% of opposition scoring drives. They were dominant. And what did they do this year? They added more talent to the secondary.
Yeah, they did.
They added more to that defense. So building on your strengths, and I don't care the division they're in. They showed it last year that they are an elite defense, and ride them till the wheels come off.
Wait to see that AFC West. That AFC West is going to be wild this year.
Yeah.
Good games are coming. And you know what? Sometimes good games doesn't mean high scoring. It just, sometimes you got to grind them out with defenses. You want to see some of the best teams lose? This is going to be that season.
Yeah, it's also going to be super beneficial for Bo Nix's development because he has to go against that defense in practice each day.
Yeah.
So
pressure's on, right?
It's great.
Honorable mention, I put Kansas City.
That was my honorable mention.
All right.
Yeah.
Look, you spoke of it earlier. That scheme is very, very good. They're very hard nosed. They understand what they're doing. They didn't get to the Super Bowl, just because of offense. That defense was really humming.
The defense kind of carried them for a few weeks last year.
It did indeed.
Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie. You got a lot of great players, and that defensive backfield, and they're able. I think they're going to get better in terms of their pass rush. But man, they played lights out last year.
Yeah, they did.
The season.
Sleeper. New England Patriots.
I like it. Okay.
I think Vrabel's going to put his stamp on that defense. They got a lot of people on that defense. They went shopping this offseason. So if they can click, I think it's a really good sleeper to have on the back end. If you already got your starter, look, just save them just so when your defense has a bye, you could put them right in there. Okay. And if they just so happen to outscore your other defense on fantasy in your lineups, then look, you can just go by matchup each week. I think that's the beauty of having two defenses sometime. Other people don't like having that. I think a good defense can get you anywhere between 7 and 20 points.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great choice. My sleeper pick was the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
Jonathan Gannon's a defensive type coach. He came from Philadelphia before he took over the Arizona job. They've done nothing but add more trench bodies in the first round this past couple of drafts. So I think they're just going to continue to develop. They added more pass rush, their secondary. So I think they could be definitely somebody to be on the lookout for. It might take a couple of weeks until they click, but I think their defense is going to be nasty and kind of make some more issues for these offenses this year.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. I think a couple different things are going to be couple different defenses are going to be taking some leaps and bounds, and people are not going to expect it. This is really going to flip the betting scene too, and we can always get Kenneth Pruitt on there for the betting bits as well. So,
yeah, and there's one defense that I want to talk about too that neither of us touched on is the Los Angeles Rams. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had Jared Verse, the reigning defensive rookie of the year. They got Braden Fisk over there on the defensive line as well. Solid linebackers. I don't love their secondary, but I think the front seven is so good that they're going to cause some issues for these offenses this year. And I think Rams is another one that could definitely be a sleeper and probably win you some weeks.
I think that's fair.
Matchup.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. Yeah, I think not for nothing. I think we you and I were pretty much on the same page, and if anybody's really wondering if we collaborated before this, we really didn't. So
I got 2 notebooks right here.
Yeah,
handwritten.
You know me.
Yeah.
You know me. Stone Age. Yeah, I chiseled it into my my rock, into my slate. But hey, fantasy football is just around the corner, okay? Like, guys, start doing your, exercises of understanding exactly who is...
Get those mocks in.
Yeah, get those mocks in. We're going to do a couple mock drafts here and there, and we're going to make sure that you guys can see some of it so you can understand where to be picking people and stuff. So, C-Dub, we're getting there, baby.
It's almost time.
It is almost time for fantasy football, regular football. But until then, we'll start off with the AFC next week. And we out, baby.
Peace.
Peace.